319. I'd rather have Jesus than silver or gold. I'd rather be his than have riches untold. I'd rather have Jesus than have his whole lands. I'd rather be led by his nail-pierced hands than to be the king of a vast domain, and behold its dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. I'd rather have Jesus than men's applause. I'd rather be faithful to his dear cause. I'd rather have Jesus than worldwide fame. I'd rather be true to his holy name than to be the king of a vast domain, and behold its dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today. He's fairer than lilies of the rarest moon. He's sweeter than honey from afterglow. He's all that my hungering spirit needs. I'd rather have Jesus and let him lead than to be the king of a vast domain, and behold its dread sway. I'd rather have Jesus than anything this world affords today.
Good evening. Is it afternoon? The Lord and learn from His Word. We'll continue to learn until God calls us home. As long as we are alive, we need to be in the house of the Lord and learn from His Word. Let's pray, shall we? Eternal Father, the Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, we thank you that we can come together in this manner once again to learn from you. We commit those that are still coming, that you may quicken their fools, that they may be here in good time, that we may learn together. Help us, guide us. Let the Holy Spirit be our teacher. In Jesus' name we pray and thank you. Amen. We'll still continue with the theme and also the titles that we took. The other week, we're looking at balancing commitment to God and home. Commitment to God and home. And I clarified what we mean by balancing. It's not 50-50, but it's actually making a priority of certain things that you can actually do in a certain period of time. You can't do everything in one time, but you need to make certain things priority to you, those that are very critical, that needs to be taken by you. And priorities actually differ from one person to the other. It's not that my priorities will be your priorities, okay? But with God, we need to be there and to do His work. I think I talked about the home being the beginning of everything. You start to learn everything from home. Even if your parents are not Christians, but there are certain things that you learn from them as well, and be able to actually even say, I will do better when I have my own home. I will do ABCD when I have my own home. And we said, you start from there. You can be young, but you still learn. And you can be the owner of the home, but you still continue to learn from there. And you bring those things that you have learned from there and to other programs or other groupings. You bring what you have learned from whatever you have learned, certain things from home, you bring them to church as well, provided they don't fight with the things of God or the word of God. So we need to learn to start from home. And we talked about that. And priorities, we said you need to set them apart. As I said, my priority is not your priority. But at the same time, you can have a wrong priority that you set, which is not in line with yourself and others as well. And the example is Moses. Moses set up his priority. His priority was that he's with God. And he takes the family, the children and the wife to the father-in-law. But the father-in-law sees that there's a problem here. And he brings this wife and the children to him. And he looks at what he's doing. Why did he bring them to me? Because he also had his own work to do for the Lord, as it were. And he also had a family, as it were. When he looked at what he was doing, he had to assist him to make better priority for the Lord and for himself and for others as well. At the end of it, he actually did much better for himself and for others as well, that came in to help him to do his job. And they learned from him. They learned to do his job from him. But he wanted to actually do things on his own together. We looked at that as well. And I think we also came to look at Paul's teaching on why it's good to work for God when you are single. So utilize that time. And Paul talks about that. And he says, your concern will be for God all the time. But for those who are married, they will actually be divided attention for the family and for God. And we looked at that, and we have been encouraged by Paul to say, this is the way you go about these issues. So for those of you who are still single, you can do much better than those of us who are married, because you have all the time. You don't have to worry about home. You don't have to worry about children. And you just concentrate on the things of God. And of course, there are other worries that you have. Probably it's business and other things that you need to have. But Paul compared to that and said, this is the best way you can go. So we are encouraging all of you who are yet single that you can do better to be in the forefront and do and help for those of us who are yet married. But those who have children, again, is a different issue. If you have no children, it's a different issue than when you have children, especially when they are young. And it's a different issue. And we need to appreciate those people and be able to assist where we can, assist them. I think I'll still look at the singleness being encouraged by Paul to actually do the work of the Lord. And this is where, I think at one time I said, this is where the Catholics have taken this teaching of them just wanting the fathers not to marry and the nuns not to marry and work for the Lord in the church, as it were. But when you look at Paul and the way God spoke to him, there was a balance in that. He said, even those who are married can actually work for the Lord. And they've got children, they can still work for the Lord. But it's something that each person actually makes a decision for them. Because he said, it's good to marry than to burn with passion, as it were. And you need to choose to do that. It's not just that we don't employ singles here, we employ marrieds here, and as it were. But at the end of it, you can also infringe on human rights as well. I don't know how the Catholics take it, and that's where they have taken it, that you can work much better when you are single. It's true in some way, but it's not something that you can force somebody to do, as it were. So we need to do that. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 32 to 34 says, I want you to be free from anxieties. The unmarried man is anxious about the things of the Lord, how to please the Lord, but the married man is anxious about worldly things, how to please his wife, and his interests are divided. First Corinthians chapter 7, verse 35 says, I say this for your own benefit, to ensure your undivided devotions to the Lord. I say this for you for your own benefit, to secure, yes, your undivided devotions to the Lord, so that you have time to do things for the Lord as well, and be able to concentrate on that and know undivided attention. When you look at 1 Corinthians chapter 7, verse 8, it says, to the unmarried and to the widow, I say that it is well for them to remain unmarried as I am. So that's Paul. As I said, that's a privilege. That is something that they can do better than the ones that are married. But we need to have the desire, we need to have the faith to do that job and to work on it. So we looked at the main points and this undivided devotion when you are single, and you offer a unique, distractive-free opportunity to serve Christ. Freedom from anxieties. You don't think through other issues in life, married life. Being single, Paul says, it's a gift. It's not something that you just say, I want to do this, that for the sake of. It's something that God has given you. Otherwise, you can fail. Just like the example I've given to others that actually say, for you to get into this job, you must be single. This is the job for the single. And somebody will pretend to be single for the sake of getting that job, as it were. But they may fail as time goes on because of their desire for marriage as well. At the end of it, you have that problem. Today, I want to talk about the young man and the old man compared how they can do their work together for the Lord. Yeah, the Bible presents the work of young and old for the Lord as complementary. We work together. We work together, the young and the old. With youth offering energy and strength, while the elderly bring experience and wisdom. Rather than one being superior, Scripture highlights that God uses both to build his kingdom, often encouraging them to serve together. Paul was one that actually looked at the young men and he encouraged them and he moved with them and he showed them certain things to do because he knew he was aging and he needed to prepare certain men and women who were gifted to do the work of God. So we need to work together. We need to see the potential, especially those of us who are old. We need to see the potential in the young ones. There are examples in the Bible where we see the old and the young working together. Proverbs chapter 20, verse 29 is just a guide, and it highlights strength for the young and wisdom for the old. While Joel chapter 2, verse 28 sees God using both visions and dreams. Other verses encourage young believers to set examples. For example, Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, and other believers to continue sharing God's power. Psalms chapter 71, verse 18. So we need to encourage all of us to work together, and at the end of it, it's all of us that will benefit, and the church will benefit, and the outside will see how we work together as one. For young men, I've always been saying that we need wisdom. We need to be people that wait upon the Lord and see how others can assist us, as it were. For us who are old, let's not just sit and say, I can do it all. No, we can't do it all. There are those that can help us. Otherwise, we'll be like Moses in that teaching by the father-in-law. Can't do it all. Others can actually help us. At the end of it all, we'll prepare them for the future and to do the work. But they need to be wise, and they need to come down and be able to follow the guidelines of those that have got experience, that have been there. And we need to take time. The torch will be given at the right time, or the mantle will be given at the right time, and they will carry on. It's people who not drop the button down. If it's a relay, we need people who have trained to actually run the race, get the button from this one. And some people would actually run, those that are waiting for the button. They will go forward so that the one who is coming will actually chase them and give it to them. But some will stand there, okay, and still the person who is running to come and give them the button will come and give them and they will run. But sometimes they'll be left behind by the other person who was just actually running forward, as it were. So we need to learn to help one another and to encourage one another in the things of God, as young and old. The example of David, and he did a lot when he was a youth. He had a zeal. He was used by God, and the carrying strength at 85 also showed that service continues with age. He was old, Caleb, when they went to spy, and he's the one of them who actually moved from Egypt up to Canaan. There were two of them, and he was one of them. He was a young man, but he grew and in doing the things of God, and he continued, as it were. Sometimes, as we are old, we have sometimes have problems with our health, as it were. You can't do what we used to do before. We can't run the way we used to run before. So that's why we need young men and women to actually help us and do the job that we need to do. But we need to be there behind and watching them and see how they do. Where they go wrong, we help them. That we need to move together in this manner. So David was such a young man who actually God looked at and God used, as it were. And he grew with wisdom and he grew with knowledge, as it were. Pride was something that was not with them. Actually, they would actually wait until the time comes when they would actually be able to do what they needed to do. And David was such a one that he knew that he was going to take over, but he had to wait until the right time came. And he was urged by others, just take over, you've already been anointed. As it was said, no, the time is coming when I can do that. And he waited upon the Lord, as it were. There are so many biblical examples of the old and the young working together. In the second Chronicles chapter 34, it talks about the old and the young generation working together. They worked together to build the temple. You can go there and see how they worked together to build the temple, as it were. Our temple is the church. Our temple is where we gather together. Bethel Chapel, how can we build it up together? And I'm sure we have all seen where we've come from and where we are now. So we are still building. At one time, we had a problem, trying to bring the young ones together, be able to build them up, and they move on. And we move on together as one. The scriptures actually encourage mutual respect. So respect one another, and we'll be able to move together, old and young. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 5. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 5. Somebody read this one for me. 1 Peter chapter 5 verse 5. Somebody, yeah, second, First Peter chapter 5 verse 5.
Likewise, you younger people, submit yourselves to elders. Yes, all of you, be submissive to one another. Be clothed with humility.
Thank you so much.
Don't resist the proud.
Both of you, the old and the young respect the elders, and the elders respect the young, so that you work together. There's certain things that you cannot do, which they can do, and there's certain things you can do, they can't do. So we need to work together. So mutual respect for one another. At the end of it all, as I said, it's other people from outside that will be seeing the oneness and the respect and the way you work together as one. No fighting. Everything has got its own time. Where we need guide, of course, questions will be there, and we need certain answers, and we need to have time also to answer certain questions that others wants to ask us, as it were. We have already looked at, have highlighted that God uses the strength of the youth. 1 John chapter 2, verse 14. 1 John chapter 2, verse 14. Somebody to read that one again.
John 2, verse 14. I write to you, fathers, because you know who is from. Write to you, young men, you are strong. The word of God abides in you. You have overcome.
Thank you so much. Fathers and sons working alongside. Wisdom is needed of the Lord to bear the fruit throughout life. You need to continue to bear fruit throughout life. Psalm 92 verse 14. Psalm 92 verse 14. Psalms 92 verse 14.
They shall still bear fruit, age, and fresh.
Thank you very much. We need to bear fruit. We need to enjoy together, the young and the old. And we need wisdom. It's not that it's only the old ones that are wise. Even the young ones are wise. And you can actually learn from them. And we have learned from them. And we have actually used their guide. Why don't we do ABCD? And we sit down and look at it and say, I think that is a good proposal. That's a good advice. Okay. And you implement it at the right time, as it were. We need to find time to just learn from one another. We're talking about commitment. And when you're talking about commitment, we are talking about finding time and putting your priorities in that right place and do them as you can manage to do them. Certain things you can't do, others will do them better than you. And this is why God has given us different gifts, as it were. So we need to know that this is my area of operation. And other people may tell you that you can do better here. Okay? And as I said last week, in this field that we are in, God's field, there's nobody who cannot do anything. There's something that somebody can do in this work. So those of us who actually are older and can help to see the gifts from others as well, and you can actually assist and help others. And you can also learn from others, as it were. Next week, God willing, we will look at the youth. And why it's important for you to work for the Lord while you are young. There are verses there in the Bible that encourages the youth, the young. Use this time. A time is coming when you will not be able to do much better than you can do when you are young. So we need to encourage one another. We have encouraged the old, we have encouraged the young, but we will want to encourage the youth to actually take the lead, be in the forefront, and be able to spearhead certain things. Behind would be those older men and who actually be pushing you. Okay? Sometimes when I watch football, I watch football and I played football in the goal and also in the midfield. Sometimes when I watch football and I look at these managers of these clubs or teams, they are old men who actually have taken all their time to actually, in fact, you can use the word committed. They are committed to this job of theirs, as it were. The team of young men have been put together and they can actually win. But when you look at money, find the manager is an old person, as it were. But again, it's not all managers who are old. Some are young and they can do better. But we're talking about the experience and the wisdom that you actually have learned from where you've come from. So young men and women, we will have time to look at that next week, and probably we will see how we will continue to learn from one another, especially that God has called us to do His work, and God has called us to do the best that we can do. Sometimes it's good to ask others to say, which is my best area of operation as a Christian? What do you see in me? They will assist you. They will tell you, I think your area of operation is much better here, and you can do much better here. And some of this, as I've always been saying, some of these gifts actually line themselves with your character. Line yourself with your character, so that you are yourself. You're not somebody else. You're not copying somebody else. It's you. The way you walk, the way you laugh, the way you do things, it's just you. The way you smile, it's just you. If you're not a fast person in talking, that's it. You can't actually envy somebody who talks faster than you. Okay? No, that is you. There's somewhere that you can do much better with what God has given you. Let's not copy one another. Let's come to a point where we know what is best for us. And let's assist others as well, that they can actually do much better in that area because of the way God has made them and because God has given them a gift that suits them according to the way God has made them. And they can do much better in that area, as it were. Has anybody got anything to add on, say, on this issue of the older and the young, and also the married and the singles, as it were, how we work together in the church and move on together as one and be seen by others to be a one group of people that actually love one another, that encourage one another, that work together, that appreciate one another, and have wisdom to do what they can do better. Yes, sir. Questions?
We've
Okay.
seen a situation in some churches where the elders are guiding the elderly people, guiding very well and so on. But the youths are with their own ideas and their rebellion. We've actually seen some churches split. The young people, they want to fire and so on.
Yeah.
How should the church handle that situation? How should they handle the young people? What should happen in this church where the young people don't want or resisting guidance of the older people? First question.
Yeah.
Second question is the other way around. You've seen the young people have fresh ideas, want to do this, want to be engaged in the activities of the church. The elderly people are very
Reserved.
to use a good word, stubborn to use a bad word.
Stubborn.
Just no movement. The young people say, let's do this, let's try this. There's always that resistance. How can you handle that? And then the third question is, who initiates the working of older people and younger people? The young people go and say, oh, please, I want to preach, I want to do this. Or should the older people identify the young person who can do this and so on? So just those three questions.
Okay. I don't have all the wisdom. If somebody has got an answer, you can start. Probably I'll answer later, also come in later. I think you have got the questions, eh? The youths, they want to do their own thing. They don't have, these guys are old, so we can do our own things. And there's that tension between them. And how do we sort out that? I'll give you an example of district, Chingora district, same amount of districts. But they have come together and they've made a district, and we have had problems with the youths when they are making their own programs. They don't want, the older people don't want to be there. It's for the young ones. And when they come up with certain programs, the elders would actually not like those programs. Probably they will bring even the speakers from outside, same amount. They will get somebody who they think can come and teach them, as it were. But when the elders hears that, they would actually sit them down and they will sort them out and whatever. And that continued. I don't know if it's still there, but there was a time when the elders sat down. What's the way forward? Others just wanted to cancel youth out of the church. No youth programs in the church. I think they are a nuisance. So they will just be following what the church actually puts down there. They won't be doing their own things. So no youth. And for sure, some churches didn't have the youths. They just had programs, as it were. And So how was it solved, as it were? So we actually had to come here and say, I think we need the elders who can actually identify the youths and be able to do and help the youths, be with them. Some of us had come from that background and we could actually help. You don't leave them and then condemn them when you can't offer any program which is better for them, and must be there. And some, there would be patrons and matrons, but their job is to come and report certain problems that the youth are actually doing. Come and report to the elders to say, this is what the youths are doing. But themselves, they can't offer any help to them before they actually just condemn them and they say, this is what these guys have been doing. So what are yourselves doing? And those are the problems that came in, and that is how it was solved at that particular time. I don't know now what happens, because they had to choose in zones. They would actually look for the youth leader from the elders who would actually be with the youth in that zone and help them to actually come up with the trainings and also a program that will actually fit with them. 3 zones. There was Zone A, Zone B, and Zone C. And there were elders that were in charge of those who had the background of actually being with the youths and help them in their situations, as it were. So that's one question. I don't know how it is now. Mr. Mtenda, how is it now with the youths and the elders? The squabbles are still going on.
Yeah, it's still going on, but
Yeah.
there's much to be improved.
Yeah. I was told that actually those that were given the duty to actually do, they are not doing the way they are supposed to do as elders who are been given to actually be with the youths, as it were. So they'll come up with their own programs, which the elders might not actually like, and they're still doing that. So the answer is that those who are elderly, at one time they were youths. So they are the ones that should actually get closer and help. And that problem, we used to have it some time back, but later we had some of us who are joined the youth to help the youth in there. I think we are Dr. Bene, myself, Samwata, and somebody else, before the commanders came. And we got order, and we had to actually encourage others to actually take the lead as well. Because, like I'm saying, there are a lot of things that are on us when you are getting order and you have got responsibilities and all these other things. So they came in, and I don't know, they're still there. Mr. Kawanda is still there with the youth, Are you still with them? He's still there with them. Kabungo is there, and the others are there. When they need advice, when they need counsel, they call on us. We help wherever we can. But the elderly people must be there with them, not necessarily leading, as it were, but being side by side with them. When they have time, they could be there with them, as it were. Second question was what? What now? Well, it's opposite, when they actually become unruly. Is that the one? Okay, no. This one, they become unruly, and the elders come in and actually make a program for them, and they will be there to actually guide them. They will actually come in and also propose certain things. That, why don't we do ABCD? But the elders will look at that and say, this is okay. I think this is why. This is okay. And they will take those proposals to the elders and say, this is what the youth want, and this is good for them. Okay. Now, it's the elders who actually don't want the youth to do certain proposals. They would cancel them off, isn't it? I think it's just the opposite. As I told you, in the first place, before that was organized, that's the way it was. The elders didn't lack the youth to do certain things, and they had no time to be with them. They just wanted to bulldoze and say, this is nonsense, you can't do this, we are elders, and this program is out. But they will not be there. Even in the camp, the elders will not be there. They will just, the youths will be there and organizing themselves, as it were. They will propose certain things, but not. I think the same answer is that the elders, the elderly people who have gone through the youth and they have learned certain things and the problems that are in that area should be there to help, as it were. And wisdom as well comes from the young ones. They will propose. There are certain things that us who are getting old, certain things we cannot actually know. But what you don't want is to copy the world. That is the tendency of the young ones. They want to bring the world into the church, as it were. This is where the elderly people who know the doctrine, who know the guidance, say, no. That is the world, and you can't bring it in. Okay? They will compare certain churches, but that church is doing ABCD. Okay? This time, the struggle has been now with the Christian brethren is the uniform by the choir. That's not so, Mr. Mtenda. There's that tension. The elders don't want that. The youth want, no. But youth said they've got uniforms. Why can't we have uniforms? What's the problem with that? And all these other things. And there's that tension. But sometimes we would actually get them down and say, what does the Bible say? Okay? What does the Bible say? Why do we take as men and women of God? And how do we lead it, as it were? So that's what it is. Most of the time, they even get counsel from him. The elders, we are sorting out the youth programs, and there's this problem. Then you come and assist us. Sometimes it goes there, isn't it? And they sit down and propose certain things that are much better. So, yeah, you can say something.
Young people have potential to cause problems, and they have caused problems in the churches. That's true. But that's not out of malice. It's because there's a vacuum, no leadership. If you can see that there's no leadership, you'll cause problems. Otherwise, young people can be obedient, can be guided, and they can make a useful contribution in the church. Not all elders can handle young people. I always recommend you need to have younger elders and those who have got some education, who know what they're doing, who are established in doctrine. Okay? What the young people need is somebody they can respect. The elder can earn the respect of young people. Even if they are riotous, all he needs to stand up and say, please sit down. They all obey. Because he's got authority.
When you respect them as well,
Right?
you need to respect them as well, so that...
Yes, but they need somebody they can respect. They will follow the instructions. There will be no problems. But in the midst of any leadership, they can do anything. Some years back, many years, we had a camp at Luano, and I invited Jimmy Lungu to be one of the speakers. I was also one of the speakers there. Now, one morning, just after breakfast, we went in the hall and there was confusion. Everybody was praying at the same time.
In times.
And so I spoke to them and I commanded them. I rebuked them. I said, what you are doing is absolutely rubbish. I spoke with authority. Because all the camp leaders, nobody knew whether praying, they were all holding the walls and praying. Everybody was total confusion. But I had a rare opportunity to speak to them with authority. They immediately stopped. Because they respected my authority. So young people are not, they can cause problems, yes, but they can also be led and be useful. All we need is to engage them, give them something to do, understand them, and be on top of things. Give them what must to do, they do it under your authority. There'll be no problems. But I'm speaking as one of the people who went through in the youth fellowship. We had a youth fellowship here at Bethel Chapel, 1972, and I was 18 years at the time. And our teacher, we respected him. And there's no issue, no problem. There's no need to riot or do anything, because we respected him. And he was on top of things. Some years back, I went to Kapisha Church, Brethren Church in Kapisha. I met elders and I wanted to talk to them about youth work. And they said, Brother Mtenda, we cannot have youth work here because these youths, they are going to overthrow us and take over as elders. So we don't want any youth because they are going to take over our jobs. They're going to overthrow the leadership.
Jobs. Leadership.
Okay. So I talked to them nicely and encouraged them, and they started a youth fellowship. And the same elders are still elders. Okay.
Yeah, thank you so much. So, what is needed with the youth is a proper program as well. You must know how to make a program for them that suits them as it were. It's not a program that they will just come. It's a para-church. After singing the song, and then, okay, the youth is over now. So they are, they don't have that leeway of actually experiencing that, what do they say? That youthness that they need. So in other words, you need to engage them in games. You can have games, yes. You need to engage them also in just interaction and all these other things. So you must know what programs are beneficial to the youth. Okay? Otherwise, we take a program that are for the body people, as it were, and they will not actually be happy to do that. At the end of it, if you start with 100, the number will start going down until you remain with few people because they can't fit in, as it were. So you need to balance as it were as well. What can we bring in to suit them? Of course, you can teach them according to their level of understanding the things of God, as it were. But again, it's not just games. At the end of it, you go, no. You need to engage them. We need to have outings. We need to have visitations, visit some place, and all these other things, so that they feel they are part of the parcel of oneness together as youths, as it were. So, program is very critical. What program you put to these people, and that's what we did. It took us time to come up with a proper program that can actually suit the youths, as it were. And some elders were not happy with that, but we told them that these are young men and women, and they need to do some games, okay? no, church is not for games. I said, well, it's not a church per se. This is just a grouping of young men and women that we can actually bring together. Okay? I hope we've tackled your questions.
Who initiates the relationship? That was the last question.
Who initiates the relationship between...
And the working together between the young person and the older. Yeah.
Okay, I mean, anybody can initiate, but the elders must be in charge. Okay? Somebody will come, we want to do ABCD, and they've come, we want to do ABCD. We look at it, and we say, I think there's a problem here. That is a good proposal, but because of ABCD, we have a problem here. Okay? And you look at it. Or you engage others as well to look at it. Because one person can actually say, this is nonsense. And somebody else looks at it and says, this is okay. So we need to engage others as well to look at what we need to do. But it's helpful. But young ones can initiate as well. Because some have been given that gift of actually leadership and actually talking, coming, even challenge, even the elders to say, this is not good for us, why don't you do ABCD? Okay, then they sit them down, but what we don't want is a situation where you don't actually listen to the elders, say they don't know anything. But as I said, the elders must learn as well from the young ones and be able to have known certain things in that area. That's why he said it's not every elder who can actually be with the youth. Others might not fit. Okay, they can do something else. Okay? And we need to appreciate that. Well,
Just one last.
one last.
I've known some young people who have left the brethren to join Pentecostal and charismatic churches. And one of the causes is that their elders don't seem to know or to give them answers to their questions. They'll ask, why do we do this?
Why do
we do this, whatever?
Why do women wear headscarves?
Why do we do this? And so the elders will not tell them from Scripture. They'll either give them two answers. This is what the missionaries taught us. But they will not explain why the missionaries taught them that way. They'll simply tell, the missionaries taught us this way, so we have to do it. Or, this is brethren tradition. This is how we do it in the brethren. And the young people are not satisfied with those answers.
Mm-hmm.
They want to know why. Why don't we speak in tongues? Okay. Why don't we have women reverends and pastors and preachers, women elders? No, this is brethren tradition. Why is it that way? They won't explain. So that's why whoever is leading the young people must be somebody who knows what they're doing, to give the young people answers. They will not write. But you say, those elders are wasting our time. They can't explain anything. So we'll go where they will explain things. And so they end up going where the situation is even worse. Where there's no doctrine but just jumping up and down.
Thank you so much. I hope that has helped all of us, especially the young ones, that you are free to actually propose an expression, but it must be in line with the guideline of the church and the Bible. Okay? Is there a question? Someone? Sorry? Someone wants to ask you to add? The one brother can pray. I think we gave him.
A young brother or an old brother?
Any. No segregation, any. Let's pray.
Lord given us we listen from your words, Sunday after Sunday, Tuesday after Tuesday, and many other days that we listen from your words. Oh Lord, we ask that may our Lord help us not to be just hearers of your word, but also doers of your word. Father God, we also pray that you help us to share this word, you help us to be your disciples just like you said to your disciples to go out there and preach the words of each and every soul out there in this world. Be with us now.